I greet you all in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. My name is Katekile and I welcome you back to another GFG live broadcast. If you're joining us for the first time, we welcome you and we're happy to have you watching us. If you're not joining us for the first time, we still welcome you. Now, last week we had part 2 talking to Mr. Raedani about electrical engineering, and this week we're going to be talking about our study skills and study habits. But before I go into that, I'd like to thank Pastor Strike and Pastor Joylene for giving us this platform to talk to our youth and be able to put GFG online. Today we're going to be talking about study skills and study habits with our very own Mama Rhulani. Ma, we welcome you so much. We're happy to have you. Just welcome us into the live video.
Good afternoon, Katekile. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, God-fearing generation. Thank you very much for staying there, continuously watching the sessions. I trust that you are being empowered. You are being assisted to be able to handle what this pandemic has brought in our lives. And I trust that all of you, wherever you are, by now, you thinking, what is it that I want to be? The sessions that we have had, the different professionals that we have hosted in the show have assisted you to make your decision. It can never be early. You need to make a decision as early as now so that you can start being able to follow on those professionals and see, is it something that I would want to do? And thank you very much for the previous host presenters. And thank you very much even to the professionals that we have hosted with. Thank you very much. We cannot thank you enough for imparting the knowledge that you have been imparting to our young people. Thank you very much, Katekila. I am excited to be part of this show where we will be talking about building effective study skills and habits. I'm excited because, yes, I'm not a young person. I'm a mother, but I am studying. And thank you very much for inviting me to the show.
You're welcome. It's only a pleasure, ma'am. So you mentioned that you've studied and you are still studying. What are you currently studying?
I am currently studying, of course, and I have been studying throughout my life. My highest qualification thus far is a master's degree. But currently, I am studying something very close to my heart because when I was young, my ambition was to have certain a title before my name. That was an advocate. But unfortunately, I could not go into that for one reason or another. But at this point in time, I'm studying for an LLB degree with UNISA. And I am excited today. I know I will be empowered by hearing and listening to your voice notes and interacting with you, Katekile, because you can never be old enough to learn new things.
True, that is very true. So you mentioned that you are a mother and you still balance it with studying. How do you do that?
It cannot be simple. As much as it's not simple with you as young people, because yes, you are young people, but you've got your own issues. You've got your own life. I do not want to take it for granted that as a young person, the only thing that you do is to study. Because you've got your social life, you've got spiritual, you've got family that you want to interact with as much as myself. Of course, I am employed 24 hours a day, but I have to find it within my schedule to do my studies. The reason I have been able to attain all this, the reason I'm able to hold on and continue to study at the age where I am, it's because I put down a plan. And I know the objective that I have. I know my end goal. So the most important thing, Katekile, is for one to have a plan. You cannot say you cannot do it. As long as you have a plan, you will be able to do it. Remember, Pastor Strike always says to us, before we arrive at manna at the church hall, we were there in our minds. You thought about it, that I'm going to manna, then physically you went there. So your plan becomes your mental arrival to your destination. Then I have got a plan. I've already seen myself caping for an LLB. I already see myself being an advocate. That's why I'm able to come with a plan that physically takes me there.
That's wonderful, honestly speaking. So you mentioned a study plan. What do you put in your study plan?
In your study plan, Kati, you need to be very realistic. But you need to make sure that you include everything. As a young person at high school, you need to have all the subjects that you are doing in your plan, because you need to know all of them. As a tertiary student, you need to have all your modules in your plan. I know at university they give them a study guide and tutorials that assist in gauging that by this time you should have been here. Just the same way, at high school, I know the Department of Education is doing a lot. You go to their website, there is a plan to say by this time you should have been here in terms of the different subjects. So that should be your guide in terms of your plan. But it must be realistic, taking into consideration how well you are able to move in terms of your studies and how much time do you have. So you need to be very realistic, but your plan must have all those elements, and you must be able to break your plan in the different phases or the different times that you will be studying. But one very important element in your plan is to have a column where you will record on a daily basis what you were able to achieve for that particular day. That enables you to be able to monitor yourself. It enables you to be able to go back if you could not attain what you were planning to attain, because you should not take it for granted that whatever that you have put in your plan, you'll be able to achieve it. Because sometimes there are other unforeseen circumstances that may lead you not to be able to study, like falling sick, or you had to do something for the family which was not part of your plan. But when you have a monitoring tool in place, you are able to go back and revise and make sure that you catch up in terms of what you will not have been able to achieve at that time.
Okay, well then I'm happy to hear that. Once you've put down a plan, how do you go about actually pursuing your plan? Because sometimes you put down the plan and it's there to decorate and you never even touch it. How do you go through with the plan?
Once you have your plan, the next step is to action it, isn't it? Your plan is all about studying. Most important thing will be to create a conducive space for yourself. It is possible that at home, because now you are on lockdown, those who were in tertiary, you are back home. The high school, you are not going to school, you are back home, you're studying online, or you go to school once a week, whatever it may be. You need to create a conducive environment. You may not have a study room, but in your bedroom, you can ask your parents or yourself, get a table. If you do not have a table, you can make something that can be a sort of closer to a table and a chair. But what's important is for you to be comfortable. Do not fall into a trap of using your bed as your table, because in that way, you may not be able to attain much, because what you need is for your mental being to be able to recognize that once we sit on this chair, we're about to do business. So that's very important. So you create a conducive environment for yourself to be able to start your program.
That is good, and that is very true. I once read an article where they spoke about you cannot take your workplace into your resting place. You do not take your work into bed, guys. It doesn't work like that. So let's refer to the people who want to cross night. What advice do you have to the people who feel like studying from 8 in the evening until 8 in the morning is a good idea?
Yes, I know. Even when I was growing up, we used to make such a mistake of cross-nighting. We used to make such a mistake of waiting until the last minute and think you can grab everything. I believe you are all familiar with CPF. CPF, cram, pass, and forget. And that cannot be. Why are you studying? You are studying so that knowledge can be imparted to you, knowledge that you will use in the future. So if you are to cram, pass, and forget, surely you are not attaining your objective. You are not being learned. It is not about attaining your grades, moving to the next grade, but it is about being learned, getting knowledge that will help you in the future to be what God has planned for you to be. So I do not believe it's a good idea to cross night. Firstly, I know psychologists say the first 2 hours, once a person has woken up, their mind, it's operating at 100%. After 2 hours, 3 hours, up until around 12 hours, your mind is at 60% capacity. The rest, your mind operates at 20%. You already have your answer. If you are to wake up, go around, do all sorts of things, surely that will not work for you, because you want to utilize your mind for your core objective at that time in your life. Because I believe as a young person, the priority is for yourself to be empowered, to grow, to attain your education, to become what you have planned to be. So you cannot wait until the 20% of your time. Surely your brain will not help you to grab what you have to grab. You will be operating within the 20%. That's why in most cases, the people who cross night in the morning, when you get to the exam room, they normally tell you that they are getting confused. You have heard that? Ne? It's because the mind has been taking 20%. And the person has told themselves that I have been studying, I have covered the whole work. But the mind only has 20%. Can you just imagine? That is disaster. You are setting yourself for a trap to fail. You are setting yourself for a trap not to be able to progress to your next level.
Well, the next question is a bit of a challenge, because I know that most teenagers do this. What do you say about teenagers who carry their phones and computers and devices all the time, even when they're studying? They have their devices here and there. What's your advice on that?
As we indicated, creating a conducive environment, it should be conducive enough not to become a distraction for you. Mina, for myself, I know once I go into studying and I have my phone next to me, the temptation is to keep on going to it, you know. With us, our generation, we are into Facebook. You know, when I say I'm on social media, I'm in Facebook. I know with yourselves, you may be in Twitter.
Yeah.
And the trend is you will want to know, oh, I've been studying for the past hour. I want to see what is trending now. And there's always something trending. Something is always trending. Then it becomes a distraction. The best thing is always that conducive environment. Take away your phone. Take away your computers. Take away your tablet. And say, this is my time to study. When you are to study effectively, you cannot be saying, I need my phone to be able to make research. Because effectively, it means you will have collected all the information that you need for yourself to be studying. By the time you sit down and say, I'm starting with my program, you will have collected everything. So surely you don't need your phone by that time. You cannot be doing research. That is your time to study. My advice will be, don't take gadgets. You know, personally, what I do when I'm about to even write exams, I normally sign off from all my accounts of social media so that I do not have a single temptation. If I feel like reading, either I read my Bible or I get a book that I can read, but a book that will not make me want to abandon whatever that I'm doing in terms of my studies, to say I want to know what is next. You know, that is also very important so that you can stay focused.
So guys, you must get those books that motivate you and tell you to carry on. Those are the books that you're supposed to be reading, not the storytelling books. So you spoke about using notes and highlights in a way of studying. What do you use?
Very important to make sure that as you study, to avoid the CPF, write notes, highlight the key issues. That will help you to grasp and be able to go back to the content that you have studied to check whether you have understood your content or you did not understand. Because if you just read through like a newspaper, when I read a newspaper, I do not have a responsibility to be able to dish out whatever I've read, when I was reading the newspaper. I'm just reading for, just to be informed. So even if I do not know the nitty-gritties of the story that I've read, I'm still fine.
Yeah.
But remember, with your studies, with your subjects, you need to know the nitty-gritties of what you have studied. So the best thing is for you, always have a notebook, write it down. If you are not a person who writes, who takes notes like that, you can highlight within your content on your textbook or whatever that you are studying from. But what's important is for you to be writing down or highlighting. Studies says that when you take notes as you study, it's equivalent for you having read that very same content about 7 times. So you can already see the impact. If you put down notes, the likelihood that you will remember, it's much higher than when you just read through, because you are not even sure. And once you have taken notes, it's always advisable, make sure within a day of having taken those notes, go back to them and read them. That will help you to be able to recall what were you writing. Because when you write notes, another very important thing, do not rewrite the whole textbook. Otherwise, you will never finish your content. Make sure that you use shorthand. You should be able to develop a shorthand. It's very important, because even in the future, this is something that once you develop, these words, I use these symbols for me to identify them. It will help you even in the future, because even when you are working, you need shorthand. You may be in a meeting, you cannot take down everything that a person is saying, but you should be able to put it on shorthand. Then you should be able to recall what is it that you are saying.
Okay. My next question, I feel, is a bit of a very serious question, because us as teenagers use this all the time, and sometimes we're told it's bad, sometimes we're told it's good, and now we're just caught in between. Listening to music. This is my personal favorite. Listening to music. Please put our minds at ease. Is it allowed?
Yes, but I can say it's allowed. But from where I come from, my generation, we did not have headphones. You call them headphones. I still am fearful of them, because once they're in my ears, I feel like it's too much. The sound is just too much. But, it was a challenge for me. I've got 2 teenagers, one at tertiary, the other one at high school. Every time they say it's their study time, when I walk in there, I'll find them with their earphones, and I was always asking, are you studying or you listening to music? And they kept on saying, no, when we have our earphones, we're able to concentrate better. And it was not settling well with me until I came to a position where I said, even though I'm an elderly person to them, I may be wrong. I need to find out about this issue. I went and researched and checked with people, and I was told that when you listen to music, but of course the right kind of music, when you listen to music when you're studying, it helps you to remember what you were studying. It's another way of remembering what you've been studying. Beyond that, it's said that when you listen to music, you have chosen that this is the type of noise that I'm going to be listening to. It blocks out the outside voices, the outside noise that you may be you were going to pick up. So it helps you limit the amount of distraction and focus only just the music that you have on your earphones. So I had been defeated. I was told it's a good study method to listen to music when you are studying. But of course, young people, I will recommend listen to the right type of music. That's very important.
Okay, so guys, listen to what jazz, smooth jazz, something nice and calm, and let your mind be at ease while you're studying. So my next question is, out of all these studying tactics, what's your personal trick to studying?
Yeah, that's very good, Katekile, because every person, even yourselves, you need to have a trick around something. My personal trick in studying is that I study as if I am going to be teaching the subject. When I'm studying, as I go through my content, I behave as if I'm a teacher who is preparing to go and stand before young people like yourself, because I know, should I not have a content, you will be surprised. So you trust me that I will be able to dish the correct content to you. So I prepare, I do everything as if I am going to be teaching. That is my trick, and it has worked for me all along. I have always studied in that way. It helps me because, remember, when you study, the most important thing is you saying, I am preparing to be able to go before an exam and write. Then you are dishing out information. So for me, it's more or less similar to going to teach, because whoever you are writing your script does not know the content of your subject. So you are teaching them your subject. Whatever questions they are asking, they do not know the answer, you are giving them the answer. So I've always believed that it works, and it has worked. Try it. I'm sure that you will find it to be very helpful as you go along. Thank you very much, Kati.
Okay, so you mentioned writing notes and writing and highlighting certain things to try and make yourself remember everything that you're studying. Once you've written your notes, what's next? Because you'll find someone writing down their notes and highlighting a few passages, and they're like, you know what, I'm done, this is where I finish. But what do you do after writing down your notes and highlighting your passages?
You must not let down your effort of writing notes go down the drain. Of course, once you have written your notes, I indicated that when you take down your notes, it's equivalent to you having studied for 7 hours. And I've indicated it's always beneficial for you to go back within a day of having written such notes and revise. But beyond that, once you have written your notes, make sure you look for past question papers. With the fourth industrial revolution, it's much simpler. Unlike myself, I had to go around the whole village looking for past question papers. With yourselves, you go to the internet, ask Mr. Google. Mr. Google, there's even Google Scholar. Always try not to just use Google as the Google that we use to search for recipes for baking. Use Google Scholar. Google Scholar, you'll be able to get past question papers. You go to the Department of Education, Basic Education, the National Department, they've got question papers for all the different subjects. I was fascinated. They even have question papers for as long as back 2010. And for university students, your different platforms that you use for your studying at the university, they normally will upload question papers. And nowadays, I know, even myself at UNISA, they create WhatsApp groups. And within the WhatsApp groups, people share question papers and memorandums. What's important is for you not to take the question paper together with the memorandum, read, but it's for you to first take the question paper, go through the question paper as if you are sitting in an exam room, and then after you will check yourself against the memorandum. By doing that, I guarantee you will be building confidence within yourself. Once you are done and you have seen yourself having attained, let's say you have attained about 80%, the likelihood is that as you go to your exam, you are so confident that you are going to make it. And a person who is confident, no one can put them down.
Well, there you have it, guys. Go back and put in the effort into your studies. It's not as simple as what you have now. Branch out, because there's never too much information to take in. Sometimes us as teenagers, you mentioned that we do have families that we do have to interact with, and sometimes you find yourself in the house trying to study and you have a routine set out for yourself. But then as you're studying, maybe she wants some tea, maybe Papa wants some water. What do you do when your environment is uncontrollably interfering with your routine?
Yes, I know it's a challenge. Just like myself, it's a challenge. I'll have kids coming, running around, and a whole lot of things. But once you have your plan, do not go about your plan by yourself. Engage the whole family. Talk to your parents, talk to your siblings, share your program with them. Nowadays, we've got apps. Once you do your program on your phone or electronically, you can share with the whole family. In that way, they are able to know that at this given time, Katekile is studying. We should not disturb her. They know that Katekile will be writing a test tomorrow. So you do not have to, again, keep on telling them. And because I know, as a parent, I am the first fan or supporter of my child to make sure that they make it in life. So they will surely be supportive of your plan. But if you do not share the plan, how will they know? Remember, even if it's locked down, when you are home, you cannot say that you should be studying only. Remember, I said in the beginning, you are young people, you've got social life, educational, spiritual, and your friends. Remember, you should balance all these things. And your parents are there to assist you to balance them. So once you have shared your plan, you are able to say, oh, during this time I can be able to do one chore within the family. I can be able to assist with this. Because we cannot say you must be studying only. Then the other elements of your life will lag behind, and which may not be good, because I will guarantee you, as you grow old, as you start working, you will have targets and deadlines more than what you are experiencing. So you need to start training yourself in terms of, how do I make sure I still do a whole lot of other things within the work that I'm supposed to do.
Well, you mentioned under putting a study plan and being realistic and putting in all aspects of your life into your study plan. You mentioned resting and breaks and so forth. What's the best thing or the most advisable thing to do during your breaks?
Yes, when you're studying, it's very important you should take short breaks. Your mind cannot take studying throughout the whole 4 hours. Very important, break your studying into at least 30 minutes. Your brain can be able to absorb or concentrate as far as about 30 minutes, and take a break and come back and continue with your studying. What's important, when you take your breaks, do not take your break and go and do things that will become a distraction when you come back. Taking a break and the next thing you go to the street and start watching, you find that there's a group of people playing there. When you go back, your mind keeps on going back there to say, sure, what was happening? I wish I was there. But if you take a break, you just go and relax, take a tea break, drink water, refresh, get a fruit, eat. Because when you are studying, you need to be well nourished. When you are studying, you need to be well refreshed. You can take a break and say, I'm going to take a shower. That is acceptable. That is still very good because you are refreshing. But stay away from taking a break and go and sit before a TV, because the likelihood that episode that you are watching is continuing is very high. Nowadays, we watch episodes on Netflix. Netflix does not have mercy. Netflix plays for hours because the shows, everything is loaded. You can sit and watch Netflix for the next 7 days until the whole season is over. So you see, by that time, your study plan is gone. You cannot follow through. Even your tests, some of them have passed, because you can watch and physically go back to your studying, but your mind remaining before the TV. That's why I'm saying don't fall for the trick of going to sit before a TV.
Well, thank you, Papa Chriso Baloyi, for that question. I hope you got your answer. The next question comes from our own GFG leader, Papa Baloyi. He asked, what's the best time to study?
Thank you very much, Bembani, for that question. Mina, I believe there's no best time for studying, but even as I've indicated, that psychologists says when you wake up, the first 2 hours after you have woken up, your mind operates at 100%. 3 hours up until around 12 hours since you have woken up, your mind is at 60%. Beyond that, you're operating at 20%. So surely my advice will be that it is good to start studying in the morning and throughout the day. But I know that there are those people who will sleep and wake up in the evening. And I would like to believe it still applies to them because they've just woken up, so they can start studying at that time. What is more critical, Bembani, is that do not study for hours and hours without a break. Have short breaks in between so that you give your mind time to rest. Have time that has been allocated for your study and be able to say, my mind has had enough, I'm going to rest. Because if you do not rest, you may be lying to yourself. You continue with the content and only to find that you did not get anything from the content. And once you lie to yourself, you believe, I have studied enough, I'm done. You get to the exam, because you did not rest, you are not sure if you understood the content. You get to the exam, you are shocked. That's where most people will say they've got a mind block, because they were trying to study beyond the time that their concentration span can go. So what's important, you must be able to identify, are you an early person or a late person? But try and make sure that you do not focus or prioritize other things than your studying as a young person. Because Mina, I believe your core objective at this stage, at your age, one thing that must be number one in your life, Katekile, it's your studying. The other things will follow, because it's not yet time for those things.
Well, guys, there you have it, the most insightful information by far. Next, we'll be hearing voice notes from our own GFG asking us also some questions.
With regards to the habits part, when doing very well in their studies, one may feel a sense of overwhelming confidence, which in many cases leads to procrastination. How does one move from that? What can be the most effective ways to keep yourself motivated and your ego in check? A lot of us have tried the whole study timetable concept, and for me, to be honest, it just doesn't work. The workload varies from time to time, and striking a balance between studying, homework, and resting is hard, and even harder due to the exam season being around the corner. How do I plan my schedule and move from that?
To know how to stop procrastinating and have a productive study time.
This is a contribution. I have a motto that structures my approach towards my learning. The trick is to study smart, not work hard. Studying smart doesn't mean there's no hard work, but whatever amount of work you put in goes a long way in your learning. It's in ensuring that that little piece of information that you read stays in your memory for the long term, and when you do revision, all the bits of information connect the dots between the information.
Okay, the first question had to do with procrastination. How do you deal with procrastination?
Yeah, procrastination is a challenge not only for you as young people, but even for ourselves as elderly people, because when a person procrastinates, they keep on saying, I will do this tomorrow, I will study after 3, I will study after 4. I believe the reason they're procrastinating is because probably they do not have a plan. They do not know, they haven't set times that they are supposed to stick to. So to overcome procrastination is to have a plan, but it requires your discipline. No one can do it for you. It requires your own discipline. You must be disciplined enough to stick to your program. If you have a timetable and you do not stick to it, unfortunately, even if parents come and howl at you and shout and say, this is your time to be studying, but if your heart is not there, you can be sitting by the table and not get anything because you're doing it for somebody else. So procrastination, you can overcome it by having a plan and discipline.
And then the next question was, what if the timetable method does not work for you? What if you've tried setting a routine, you've tried setting a timetable, and still it doesn't work for you? What do you do then?
Unfortunately, it's just difficult. I'm not sure what will be the reason for you not to be able to stick to the timetable. So is that discipline? Because believe me, if you do not have a plan, a timetable, there is no way you can make it. There is no way you can make it. It means you will be haphazard. Because you want to say to me, you've got 6 subjects. You do 6 subjects now at school? 7 subjects at school. And you do not have a plan. You just want to study as and when you feel like. Obviously, the likelihood is that something will lag behind. And we do not want that to happen. We can't have you studying one subject and the other one's lagging behind. So you need a plan. You need to be disciplined. But if I understood the young person, his challenge is that sometimes you find that you've got a plan, but you've got the homework that you did not filter in. That's where I spoke about being able to go to the department's website and get those plans that they normally will have. Because in those plans, the department, the curriculum advisors, they are very realistic in drawing up those plans. They know that a student, by this time, they will be in this a study area. And even at university, you've got your different tutorials. If you have been following them through, they know that by this time, if a student who's doing a second year for an LLB, by this time they should be able to complete this amount of work. So if you have been faithful in doing your work, you are likely to be able to catch up. Even when they give you extra work, of course, nothing comes for free. We work for it. So if they give you more work, it means at that time you need to put more effort. You cannot say, no, I had only planned to start up until 8 o'clock and I'm stuck. Remember, your timetable must be flexible. It must be able to adapt. If a person who does not adapt can never make it in life. That's why we have the different seasons of the year. When winter comes, you must adapt, change your dress code and wear winter clothes. If you continue and say, no, I have drawn up a plan, I'm still wearing my summer clothes, you will have pneumonia. We may have to bury you. So it says, even in your study timetable, it must be flexible. You must adapt with the different changes that come along.
That is true, because you can never know what might happen. The next one wasn't a question, it was more of a contribution, where we were told that we should study smart and not hard. What's your take on this piece of information?
Yeah, thank you for the contribution. It's very encouraging to hear a young person who's got such contributions to say you must study smart, not study hard. Studying smart will be to adopt to all these elements that we're talking about, creating a conducive environment, having your plan. You're smart because you have planned everything. Rather than a person who does not have a plan, who does not have a good conducive environment, who does not have tricks, who does not have a way of how to test themselves. All they do day in, day out is to study their timetable. Just like a person who says, oh, I'm studying very hard. I read the Bible every day. They've read the Bible from Genesis to Revelations. Then you ask the application of the word, it's not there, because probably they did not even understand what they were reading in the word of God. So even yourselves, as you study your different subjects, you need to understand what is it that you are reading, what is it that you are studying, for you to be able to make application of the content that you have studied.
That is insightful, and I hope it answers some of the questions that you guys might have had. We got a question from Mr. Hope Baloyi, our GFG leader, once again. It says, what's your take on studying while snacking?
Okay, thank you very much. I also do that. But remember, a healthy mind, it's good. You need to have a healthy body for you to have a healthy mind. So even as you snack, what's more important, do not snack on things that may not be good for your body. I know when you're studying, it may be good to be eating fruits, drinking water, but I will advise stay away from eating a lot of chips, eating a lot of sweets, because when you are not healthy, your mind then will not be healthy. And remember, you are studying so that the content can go to your mind, and your mind can be able to assist you to go to the exam and reproduce. And again, your mind can be able to help you to understand the content so that it can help you in your latter years and even in your career. So yes, you can snack, but make sure that you snack on good or healthy snacks. I heard and I've seen that chocolate, they say chocolate has got a way of releasing, they call it endorphins. Yes. I heard a psychiatrist saying it's good to have chocolate when you are studying because endorphins are good for you. They make you to be happy. You know, even when you are not happy, they say if you eat chocolate, it releases that. So you may want to eat chocolate. And they said dark chocolate. So it's not just any chocolate. Don't go for PS. I am a fan of PS and I've learned to stay away from it because I was told it's not good for my health. But what may be good for me is dark chocolate, and dark chocolate sometimes is not nice. Yeah, you know, you want that sweet one, but you need to take care of your body even as you are studying so that you can have a healthy mind.
I'm sure every chocoholic out there is crying to hear that they have to eat dark chocolate if they don't like it. But guys, it's healthy. What can we say? We have to eat it. Another question came in from Mr. Mabobo asking, is it good to have study groups?
Thank you, Bobos, for that question. Bobos is one of the host presenters, isn't it? Is Patuma Bobo? Is that Patuma Bobo?
It's Mama.
Okay.
Mabobo.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank
Thank you very much, Bobos, for the question. Yes, it's very important to have study groups. Remember, when you're studying, sometimes you may not be able to grasp a certain element of the subject. You need to be able to have someone who can assist you. But also, it should depend on characters. There are those people who are able to study in groups. There are those people who do not study in groups. Personally, I do not study in groups, but I like this new thing of having study groups through WhatsApps. I'm not forced to sit with them, but in my own time, I'm able to pick on their minds. And sometimes as they ask the different questions, I'm able to answer. You remember I said, I study as if I'm going to teach. So when you are in a group, you are able to study as if you are going to teach, and you've got the guinea pigs there. You are able to explain to them that this is what I've learned. When someone asks an angle that they don't understand, but you understand, as you explain to them, you get to know it much better. So it also helps you. But very important, choose the right study group. Choose people that you know these are the right people. I'm not ashamed to say this as God-fearing generation. You need to choose God-fearing people. There is no way you can choose friends whom you are not sure what they believe in, because the possibility is that as you continue with your studies, they may introduce wrong elements, wrong habits into your studying. You know, people believe in different things, but you must know who you are. Associate with people of your likes. Don't just go into a group without you knowing what that group represents.
So it's about self-awareness. Know whether you prefer studying with a group or prefer studying alone, and also know who you're studying with. We're going to listen to our next few voice notes.
More than an hour when I'm studying. So what can I do to increase my level of concentration and be able to study longer? Hi, this is Wendy Baloyi. I wanted to ask, what are the different methods of studying, them different effective methods of studying, and also what can one do to discover like which method works best for them.
Hi, my name is Nileti. Oftentimes, when we go and write our tests or exams, we find people trying to revise just before getting into the exam venue or on the morning of the exam. Do you think that is a good idea? If not, what would you suggest that we do on the morning of the exam or when we get to the exam venue? Thank you.
Why is it important to be alone when you're studying?
Hi, my name is Nelma Tuba and I'm a part member of GFG. And my question is, what are the most common mistakes we as teenagers make while we are studying?
Okay, so our first question was about concentration, how to increase your levels of concentration, how to make sure that you concentrate.
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. It can be a challenge to increase your concentration level, but the environment in which you are studying, very important. You must have a conducive environment. You must eat healthy. You must make sure that all your material, remember I said you cannot say I'm studying when you are still collecting content of your different subjects. You need to make sure that all the material that you are going to use, it's available before you, so that you do not stand up or start searching around, because that will take your concentration away. And also making sure that you stick to your routine. Building a routine cannot be simple, but once you have built the routine, once you build in yourself that habit of saying, every day by 8 o'clock I cannot be in the sitting room. If you find yourself in the sitting room, to show that that routine is effective, you will start feeling guilty. And that automatically makes you want to go and continue with what you are supposed to be doing. So ensuring that you do not have distractions, ensuring that you have everything that you require for your studies will assist you to make sure that you've got good concentration. But eating healthy and drinking water cannot be neglected. That is very important, because you need your mind, and you need a healthy mind to be able to continue with your studies or your study.
Okay, so basically the key to concentration is to make sure that your environment is conducive, your mentality is conducive, and your nutritional health is also conducive. The next question was, what are the methods to studying, and how do you know which one works best for you? Because sometimes you know the methods and you're writing tomorrow, so you don't have the time to test out each and every method to find what works best for you. How do you figure out what works best for you?
I will not say there's a prescription in terms of what method to use to study. Different people have got different ways of studying. But remember, I indicated you need to be able to take notes. You need to be able to go back and check if you have been effective. That will assist you to be able to identify and say, I am doing the right thing. Because the minute you are not able to check yourself, you see, it comes back again to say, when you are studying, once you have completed your content, test yourself. It's able to certify you that you are doing the right thing. But the different methods, taking down notes or restudying and highlighting, studying in a group, sharing content and all that, it depends on the character of a person. I cannot be prescriptive and say, this is what you need to do, but these are the different methods that you can use. It's upon you. Go through the different methods, go and test yourself. Once you see, even yourself, in you, it will be satisfied. You will feel satisfied that I have studied and I feel like this content, I understand it. So you will be able to say, okay, this, it suits me. Myself, I indicated to you, I'm a person who studies in the morning. I will wake up, go to the office at 5:30 and start studying when it's my study time, and start studying until maybe the whole day. But I have different breaks in between. I will study 30 minutes, rest, go and drink water, come back, leg stretch and come back, do this, but I study alone and I take down notes and I go back to the past question papers, test myself so that I can continue to build confidence that I understand this content.
Okay. And the next question was, what do you say about studying until the venue, where you're studying and even when you're approaching the venue, you're still trying to get 1 + 1 = 2 and solve for X while you're about to go and write? What do you say about that?
My experience is that that is very bad because it tends to confuse you and it tends to make you to lose confidence. I will keep on referring to confidence because, yes, we go to class, they teach you, you go back home. So if you did not have to build that confidence through studying, you were going to say, okay, I can go into the exam room. But when you study until the last minute, the likelihood is that when you open, and in most cases, I think everyone can attest to this because I also attest to it. If I open a content just before I get into the exam room, the likelihood is I feel like this one I don't remember. You don't remember everything. So you start to lose content and you can even have mental breakdown. You can even get to the exam room and not know what you have done. Again, the challenge is that once you start doing that, even your other classmates may want to start to have input in what you are doing. Someone can bring in an angle that you did not believe in or you did not see it in that way when you were studying. That will confuse you and take away your confidence. You move into the exam room believing everything, I don't understand what I've been doing here. So it can be a challenge. My advice, do not study your content when you are about to write. And after writing, do not go through your question paper. That's what leads a lot of young people in December to go through depression. Some of them commit suicide and only to find that you have passed the paper. But because you started to go back to the question paper and your friends kept on saying, no, I've written it this way. Not the lecturer or not the teacher or the examiner is telling you that my memorandum is sitting this way, but you are listening to your friend saying, no, I've written it this way, and you start feeling, no, I did not do very well. And then now depression comes in, you commit suicide, and only the parents come January when the results are out, they find that you have passed with flying colors. You have listened to the wrong voices. So studying on the last minute, to me, is like listening to wrong voices. Do not allow yourself to be trapped in that. Do not allow yourself to listen to the wrong voices. Focus on what you have done. If you believe you have stuck to your plan, you have done your job, you're ready to go and write.
And sometimes even if you didn't do well in exam, it's not a reason to give up. Life still goes on. You can still have another chance. And sometimes you find where you got this wrong, and then they have the days where you guys do corrections and marking, and you can still go to ma'am and say, ma'am, I did it this way. And sometimes you check and you still get a mark for it. So do not hurt yourself before you get the full marks. The next question was, why should a person study alone?
Yeah, studying alone. Remember, we spoke about it when we're saying, is it good to study in groups or studying alone? People who like studying alone is because they do not want to be disturbed. Just like myself, I do not want to be disturbed. When I have my plan, I want to go through my whole content without anyone disturbing me. So that's why I study alone. But in most cases, for instance, this time during lockdown, you will have to study alone in your room because I would like to believe you find that within the family, you do not have any other person studying the same subject that you are studying. So when you study by yourself, it will help you not to listen to the other people. I can just imagine a student who takes his books and say, I don't want to be alone, and go and study in the sitting room when people are watching a soap. Obviously, they're going to disturb you. So that cannot work.
Okay, the next one was, what are the common mistakes as teenagers make when studying?
The most common mistakes that I have seen, most especially in young people, is to convince yourself that this subject is too difficult. Is to convince yourself when you hear your friends, you know when you get into the class the beginning of the year, There are those students who already know about the teacher. When the teacher walks in and you ask yourself, how do they know? Because I was with them in the previous grade, but now they know this teacher doing this subject, and we have just arrived. Probably they've asked friends around or whatever, and they start being negative towards the teacher. Once you are negative towards your subject, negative towards your teacher or your lecturer, you can never make it. It is about the attitude that you have with your lecturer, with your teacher, the attitude that you have with your subject that will make you go through it. You cannot tell yourself, I will not make it. Remember, we are children of God. What is powerful? Our tongue. What we confess with our tongue. Can be dangerous. So we need to be very careful. Do not set a trap where you already has confessed that this subject I will not make it, because you need that subject. There is no way you can do without that subject. You need to make it so that you can be able to move to the next grade.
Okay. We're going to listen to our next or our last few questions, and we're going to answer them.
Can you please advise on how I can study a subject that I have no passion for, but actually have no choice but to study it in order for me to pass?
Afternoon, this is a question from Amu. I wanted to know, like, when it comes to studying, what methods are effective in helping you to concentrate? Because I'm sure many of us have googled how to keep focused when studying, but they never actually work. So what could be like an effective way to study and without letting distractions come in your way?
I have a problem with consistency. I'm a great planner and I have a study schedule in place. I am well aware of the way that my brain is structured to function and requires me to study, but consistency or building a habit to study on a regular basis is challenging me. What can you advise a person like me to do? How then do I build discipline to enhance my consistency?
My questions are, how does one deal with mental breakdowns while studying, and also, is cross-nighting recommendable?
So the first question was, how do you study a subject that you don't want to do, either because you're forced to do it or you know that it's the subject for your career, but you don't want that particular subject? How do you work around it?
Unfortunately, there is no other way, no magic. You must change your attitude, because you need that subject. For you to move to the next level, for you to be able to do the career of your choice, probably you need that subject. Just, I will equate this to a builder. Do you think a builder would like to be building a foundation where when the owner of the house comes, they cannot see even the progress that have been made? No. They would like to build up, but the builder knows that the foundation is very important. So just like yourselves, the foundation, which may be that subject, is very important. So the idea or the ideal is to change your attitude. There is nothing that I can say. And make time to learn it. Once you change your attitude, make time to learn it. You may find that that is a very simple subject which you just had a bad attitude on, but you can overcome your fears.
All right. And then the next question was, what are the best methods? But I think we answered this one. But yeah. And then the next one was, how do you deal with mental breakdowns? Either because you're going to write right now, or maybe sometimes you might be studying and then you panic and you find yourself having a mental breakdown. What do you do?
Yes, I know it's very real to have a mental breakdown, especially when you're about to write your exams, or sometimes people experience it even when they're studying. It's very important for you to recognize that you have a problem and seek for help. But as God-fearing generation, I would like to believe you do not forget. whom you need to invite, even as you undertake your journey of studying. The Holy Spirit, who becomes your helper, who is your comforter. So it's very important before you start studying, invite the Holy Spirit to join you so that He can assist you through. But once you have realized that you have a mental breakdown, very important, seek for help. Talk to your parents, or you can talk to us as the leaders of GFG, and we are able to take you through. Or where we are not able to assist you, we are able to seek for professional help. Or within the church, you can have the senior pastor or some of the pastors within the church to be able to give you counseling. That is very important. And I know that even during this lockdown, most of you may be undergoing that. Very important, seek for help. Do not sit by yourself and believe that you'll overcome, because for you to reach that state of mental breakdown, it means there is something that is not right, and yourself, you have been failing to address it. You need external help.
Isn't our church amazing? Honestly speaking, we have professionals 24/7 willing to assist. If that isn't a blessing, I don't know what is. That was very insightful. It was a really insightful session. What do you have to say? Just a bit of advice or a few pointers here and there just to conclude the session.
Thank you very much, Katekile. I have learned a lot, more especially in the voice notes that you kept sending through God-fearing generation. Thank you very much. And I would like to believe we were able to help you even as well as we continued with our talk with Katekile. And I believe that you will study and study smart, and we will build good, effective skills of studying and habits going forward. I wish you all well in your studies, and I trust that you will continue and hold on to your salvation even as we continue, and not knowing when are you going to go back to your classes. But I believe God knows. He will not leave us. He is with us. So hold on, and those whom you feel you need support, please contact us. Remember, we are here through our WhatsApp groups. Please share. You can reach us even as different leaders. Talk to us. We do not want to lose you in the process when we are here to support you. Thank you very much, and thank you very much to Pastor Strike and Pastor Joylene. Thank you very much. We cannot appreciate you enough for setting up these platforms to continue to talk to our young people, to empower them, even as we undergo this pandemic. Surely we shall overcome. We are moving to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and thank you to you guys for watching up until the end. It's only a pleasure, and we hope that you guys will be coming back next week, and we hope that you guys will be joining us next week. Have a great day, and good luck to the students going back to school this week. We hope you guys do well. Thank you so much, and goodbye.